The morning sun filtered through the tall glass windows of the city's most expensive restaurant, where a billionaire named Mr. Harris sat with his 8-year-old daughter, Lily. Despite his wealth, Mr. Harris preferred quiet places, somewhere he could spend time with Lily, who was the only light in his otherwise lonely life. Since her mother had left years ago, he had done everything possible to give Lily the best life. Private schools, fancy vacations, beautiful clothes, yet he often felt something was missing in her smile. That day was like any other. Mr. Harris had promised Lily they would have breakfast together before her school day began. As the waiter handed them the menu, Lily kept looking around curiously. Suddenly her small hand froze midair. Her eyes widened as she stared at a waitress walking across the restaurant, balancing a tray of plates. "Daddy," she whispered, tugging his sleeve. "That's Mom." Mr. Harris looked up, confused, then followed her gaze. The waitress was a woman in her mid-30s, wearing a simple uniform, her hair tied in a loose bun, and a tired but gentle expression on her face. She smiled politely at customers, unaware of the pair watching her. Mr. Harris blinked, his mind struggling to process what his daughter had just said. "Lily, sweetheart," he said softly. "Your mom is gone. She doesn't work here." But Lily shook her head stubbornly. "No, Daddy, that's her." I remember her eyes. Mr. Harris's chest tightened. It wasn't the first time Lily had mentioned seeing her mother somewhere. Once at a park, another time in a store, but he had always assumed it was just her imagination. Her heart wishing for someone who had left too soon. Still, something about the waitress caught his attention. There was a faint familiarity in the way she moved. Graceful, careful, like someone who once came from a different world. For a moment, Mr. Harris couldn't look away. When their food arrived, Lily barely touched her pancakes. She kept glancing toward the waitress, who was now serving another table. Mr. Harris tried to distract her, but his own thoughts were spinning. What if she really was someone from his past? After paying the bill, he told Lily to wait in the car for a few minutes. Then, taking a deep breath, he approached the counter where the waitress stood, scribbling something on a notepad. "Excuse me," he said. The woman looked up, and for a brief second, their eyes met. Her expression froze, as if she had seen a ghost. The color drained from her face and the pen slipped from her fingers. "I'm sorry," she stammered. "Did I forget your order?" "No," Mr. Harris said slowly, trying to read her face. "You just look familiar. Have we met before?" She hesitated. "I don't think so, sir. I meet many people every day." Her tone was polite but nervous. She avoided his gaze, pretending to wipe the counter. Something inside him stirred, a strange mix of doubt and recognition. He noticed the slight tremble in her hands, the quick way she tried to change the topic. Before he could ask more, the manager called her from the kitchen. She hurried away without another word. When Mr. Harris returned to the car, Lily looked up eagerly. "Was that Mommy?" she asked. He sighed. "No, darling. It's just someone who looks like her." But deep down, he wasn't so sure anymore. That night, as he tucked Lily into bed, her words echoed in his mind. "That's Mom. I remember her eyes." He sat in the dim light, scrolling through old photos on his phone, pictures of his late wife, the one he believed had died years ago in an accident. Her eyes, they did look similar. He couldn't sleep. Something about that waitress haunted him. Why did she look so much like the woman he lost? Could it be possible that she survived and chose to disappear? But why would she do that? And why work in a small restaurant under a different name? The next morning, Mr. Harris made a decision. After dropping Lily at school, he returned to that restaurant. This time he didn't go inside right away. He parked across the street, watching from his car as customers entered and left. After a few minutes, he saw her again, the waitress wiping tables, laughing with another worker. Her laughter, even from a distance, and that made something inside him twist. He felt he had to know the truth. But the truth, as he was about to discover, was far more complicated and painful than anything he had imagined. The following morning, Mr. Harris sat in his car outside the small restaurant again. He told himself he was being unreasonable, chasing a memory that should have been left in the past. Yet something inside him wouldn't rest. He had built his entire empire on instincts, and his instincts now screamed that something about that waitress wasn't ordinary. She appeared again around 9 a.m., wearing the same faded uniform, The way she greeted customers, gentle, sincere, reminded him of someone who once used to laugh beside him during breakfast at home. Her eyes carried that same warmth, though they looked more tired now, shadowed by years of hardship. He waited until she was on break, and then walked inside, pretending to order a coffee. When she came near, their eyes met again. This time neither looked away immediately. "You're here again," she said quietly, almost whispering. "Yes," he replied. "I couldn't help but think we've met before." "Are you sure we haven't?" Her lips tightened. "I told you yesterday, sir." "You must be mistaken." Mr. Harris studied her face. There was hesitation in her voice, like someone hiding behind practiced words. "Maybe," he said slowly. "But my daughter recognized you. She said you looked like her mother." At those words, the woman's expression faltered. Her hand trembled slightly, but she quickly hid it by folding her arms. "I'm sorry," she said, forcing a smile. "Children sometimes imagine things. It happens." He nodded, but he could tell her calmness was an act. "What's your name?" "Claire," she said after a pause. It didn't match the name of his late wife, but something in her tone made him feel she wasn't telling the full truth. Before he could continue, her manager called her again, and she hurried off, leaving him with more questions than answers. That night, Mr. Harris sat alone in his office, the city lights flickering through the window. He searched online, the restaurant staff, nearby addresses, anything that could link this woman named Claire to his past. Nothing came up. Meanwhile, Lily came in, clutching her stuffed bunny. "Daddy, did you find Mommy?" she asked softly. He looked at her innocent face and forced a smile. "Not yet, sweetheart. But Daddy's trying to understand something." Her eyes were kind, Lily said, yawning, like Mommy's. Those words lingered long after Lily fell asleep. The next day he returned to the restaurant again, this time ordering lunch to have an excuse to stay longer. As he sat there, he overheard two waitresses talking near the counter. "Claire's been through a lot," one of them said. "She never talks about her past. But I heard she used to live somewhere fancy before things went wrong." Mr. Harris's heart pounded. Somewhere fancy. It couldn't be a coincidence. When Claire walked past his table, he finally said, "Look, I know you don't want to talk, but I can't shake this feeling. If there's something you're hiding, you can trust me." She froze, her tray trembling slightly. For a moment, her eyes filled with something unspoken. Fear, maybe guilt. "Please, sir," she said quietly. "Let it go," he leaned forward. "Did you ever live near Green Lake Avenue?" Her lips parted slightly, but before she could answer, her manager appeared behind her. "Claire, order for table 7. She nodded quickly and turned away. That was the moment Mr. Harris realized he wouldn't get answers like this. He needed to know the truth, not just for himself, but for Lily. That evening, he followed her discreetly when her shift ended. She walked several blocks before boarding an old bus. He stayed a few cars behind, his chest heavy with confusion. The bus stopped near the city's poorer district, a place he hadn't visited in years. She got off and entered a small apartment building with peeling paint. He parked nearby and watched from his car. A few minutes later, through the dim light of a window, he saw her gently placing a child's shoes by the door and tidying up the small room. She moved slowly, carefully, as if life had made her fragile. Suddenly, a young boy ran toward her and hugged her waist. Mr. Harris froze. She has a child. But then the shock deepened, because the boy had the same soft brown eyes as Lily. His heart stopped. His thoughts raced, memories colliding with disbelief. Could it be possible? Could she really be her? He stepped out of the car, unable to control the pull of emotions rushing through him. He walked closer to the building, but before he could reach the door, he stopped himself. If she truly was his wife, the woman he thought had died, then why was she living here with another child pretending to be someone else? Back in the car, his hands shook as he gripped the steering wheel. He wanted to confront her, demand answers, but something told him to wait. He needed to understand first, to know why. That night he barely slept. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw her face and that little boy's eyes staring back at him, eyes that looked too familiar to be coincidence. The truth was close. But deep down, he knew that once it came out, nothing in his or Lily's life would ever be the same again. The next morning, Mr. Harris woke up restless. His thoughts were filled with questions that refused to quiet down. Who was that boy? Why did the woman who looked so much like his late wife live in such poor conditions? And why had she lied about knowing him? He couldn't wait any longer. After dropping Lily at school, he drove straight to the same neighborhood he had followed the waitress to the night before. The streets were narrow, the buildings old and cracked, yet filled with life, children playing, laundry hanging from balconies, and the faint smell of home-cooked meals drifting through open windows. He parked near the small apartment building and waited. A few minutes later, she came out, wearing her usual uniform, holding a small lunchbox. She didn't notice him until he stepped forward and called softly, "Claire." She stopped instantly. Her face turned pale. "You shouldn't be here," she whispered. "I just need to talk," he said gently. "Please." Her eyes darted around, afraid of the neighbors noticing. "This isn't a good place for you," she said, clutching her bag tightly. "I don't care about that," he replied. "I just want to know the truth. Who are you, really?" She looked away for a moment, then sighed heavily. "I told you, I'm Claire." "Stop lying," he said, his voice trembling. "I saw the boy in your house. He looks exactly like my daughter. Are you going to tell me that's a coincidence too?" Her lips trembled. For a moment, she looked like she might break down. But then she straightened, forcing herself to stay calm. "You shouldn't have followed me," she said quietly. "There are things you don't understand." "Then make me understand," he said softly. "Because right now I feel like I'm losing my mind. My daughter recognized you. I thought you died years ago. I buried you, or at least I thought I did, so please, tell me who you are." The woman's eyes filled with tears. She looked down, unable to meet his gaze. "Not here," she whispered. "Please come later. After my shift." Mr. Harris nodded. "I'll be waiting." All day he couldn't focus on anything else. His mind raced with every possibility. Maybe she had faked her death, maybe someone forced her to disappear, or maybe it was all just an unbelievable coincidence. But deep inside, he felt the truth was closer than ever. When evening came, he returned to the small building. She was already waiting outside, looking nervous. They went to a nearby park where no one else could overhear them. She sat on a bench, her hands twisting together. For a long moment, she said nothing. Then finally, in a trembling voice, she began, "My real name isn't Claire. It's Anna." The world seemed to stop. That name, the name of his wife. Mr. Harris felt his throat tighten. "Anna?" She nodded slowly, tears streaming down her face. "Yes, it's me." He stared at her in disbelief. "But how?" "I saw the reports. They said you were gone, the car crash. I survived," she said softly. "But I was badly hurt. When I woke up in the hospital, everything was different. They said there was a fire and they couldn't find my ID. I couldn't even remember much for weeks. When I did, I realized you thought I was dead. Then why didn't you come back?" His voice cracked with pain. "Why didn't you call me? Do you know what it did to me, to Lily?" Anna wiped her eyes. "I wanted to, but when I finally recovered, I found out something that changed everything. I thought it was better if you both believed I was gone." Mr. Harris shook his head in disbelief. "Better? You broke your family's heart. What could possibly be better than us being together?" She looked away, her hands trembling. "Because of your father," she whispered. He froze. "My father?" She nodded. "He came to the hospital. He told me to stay away, that if I came back, he'd take Lily from me. He said he'd make sure I'd never see her again. He had power, influence, and I was weak. I had nothing then." Mr. Harris's face went pale. His father, a cold, controlling man who had never approved of Anna. He always thought she wasn't fit for their family. "He said he'd tell you I died," Anna continued, her voice breaking. "And he did. I didn't know how to fight him. I had no money, no strength, and I was scared for our daughter. So I left. I started a new life. I changed my name. I didn't want to, but I thought it would protect her." Mr. Harris's chest tightened. He didn't know whether to cry, shout, or hold her. The years of pain, the lonely nights, the emptiness in Lily's eyes, all of it suddenly made cruel sense. "You should have told me," he whispered, tears forming in his eyes. "I know," she said, sobbing. "Every day I wanted to, but when I finally found some peace, I had another child. He doesn't know anything about you. I didn't want to destroy two lives again." Mr. Harris looked away, his heart torn between anger and sorrow. "Lily deserves to know," he said quietly. "She's been missing her mother for years," Anna nodded. "I know, I'll tell her." But please, give me time. She won't understand everything right now. He looked at her, the woman he once loved more than anything, and felt an ache he couldn't describe. The truth had set him free, but it had also broken something inside him. As the wind rustled through the park trees, silence fell between them, the kind that carried both pain and unfinished hope. He finally stood up and said quietly, "Tomorrow. I'll bring Lily. She deserves to see you." Anna nodded, tears still falling. "I'll be here." As he walked away, he felt both relief and fear. Tomorrow would change everything. The next morning, Mr. Harris woke with a mixture of excitement and anxiety. Today, Lily would meet the mother she had longed for her entire life, the mother she had recognized at a restaurant, the one who had been hidden from them for so many years. He paced in the living room, rehearsing what he would say to prepare her gently for this moment. When Lily arrived, she noticed the unusual seriousness in her father's demeanor. "Daddy, what's happening?" she asked, holding tightly to her backpack. Mr. Harris knelt down to her level. "Sweetheart, today you're going to meet someone very special, someone who loves you very much, even if you didn't know it before." Lily's eyes widened with curiosity and a hint of nervous excitement. "Who is it, Daddy?" He took a deep breath. "It's your mom, Lily. The mom you've been talking about and the one you saw at the restaurant." Lily's mouth fell open. "Really?" "Yes," he said softly. "But we need to go see her together. She's waiting, and she's a little nervous too, just like you might be." They drove to the small neighborhood where Anna now lived. Lily clutched her father's hand tightly, feeling a mixture of excitement and fear. When they arrived at the small apartment building, Anna was waiting outside holding her younger son's hand. Her eyes lit up as soon as she saw Lily, but she quickly glanced down, trying to compose herself. "Mommy?" Lily whispered, stepping forward. Anna knelt immediately, opening her arms. "Lily," she said softly, tears streaming down her face. "It's really you. I've missed you so much." Lily hesitated for a moment, then ran into her mother's embrace. They held each other tightly, and for a few minutes nothing else in the world mattered. Anna buried her face in Lily's hair, whispering apologies and love while Lily clung to her, finally feeling the warmth of the mother she had imagined for so long. Mr. Harris stood a few steps away, watching the reunion unfold. His heart ached with a mixture of happiness and sorrow. Years of separation, misunderstandings, and hidden truths had all led to this single moment. Seeing his daughter and wife together, safe and alive, filled him with gratitude, but also a sense of the challenges that lay ahead. After a while, Lily pulled back and looked up at Anna. "Mommy, why didn't you come back before?" Anna's face darkened with guilt. I thought it would protect you, Lily. I wanted to keep you safe from hurt. I never wanted to leave you, but things were complicated. I made mistakes, and I'm so sorry." Lily tilted her head. I don't understand everything yet, but I'm glad you're here now." Mr. Harris approached them, his voice calm but firm. "We have a lot to catch up on," he said. "But we're together now. That's what matters." Anna nodded, taking a deep breath. "Yes, I want to make things right. For both of you." They spent the afternoon together, walking through the small neighborhood, sharing stories and laughing for the first time in years. Lily introduced her mother to her favorite games, and Anna shared memories from her past, carefully explaining without overwhelming her daughter. The presence of Mr. Harris reminded Anna of how much had changed, and yet how strong their bond remained despite the years of separation. At one point, Lily tugged at her mother's hand. "Mommy, can you come home with us? I want you to live with us again." Anna looked at Mr. Harris, uncertainty and hope in her eyes. "Is that possible?" she asked softly. He nodded. "Yes, we can make it work. Together." For the first time in years, the family felt complete. They laughed, shared stories, and held on to each other, savoring the simple joy of being together. Every missed birthday, every lonely night, and every unanswered question seemed to fade as love filled the gaps that had long been empty. By the evening, as they returned to their home, Lily held both her parents' hands. "I'm so happy," she whispered. Mr. Harris smiled, feeling a weight lift from his chest. "So are we, sweetheart. So are we." Anna glanced at him, her eyes filled with gratitude and understanding. "Thank you for not giving up on us," she said softly. He shook his head. "It's never about giving up. It's about finding your way back, and no matter how long it takes." The days that followed were filled with both joy and adjustment. Mr. Harris and Anna spent hours talking about the past, about the years they had lost, and the secrets that had kept them apart. The truth had come out, but rebuilding their lives wasn't as simple as reuniting for a few hours. They had to learn to live together again, to trust each other, and to create a family environment that had been missing for so long. Lily, however, took it all in stride. She was the glue that held them together. Her laughter filled the house. Her questions reminded them of the innocence of childhood, and her love gave them both strength. She insisted on helping Anna settle back into her old home, arranging her room, helping her choose new clothes, and even setting up a small corner where she could work from home if she needed to. One afternoon, Mr. Harris sat with Anna in the living room watching Lily play with her toys. "I know it hasn't been easy for you," he said softly. "You gave up so much to protect our daughter, but you also missed years of her life." Anna nodded, her eyes misty. "Every day I've lived with regret. But seeing her now, seeing both of you, I finally feel like I can breathe again." He reached out and held her hand. "We can't change the past, but we can shape the future. We'll do it together." They decided that the best way forward was openness and honesty. Lily asked countless questions about Anna's absence, the accident, and her life as Claire. Anna answered them gently, choosing her words with care so as not to confuse or overwhelm Lily, yet being truthful enough to honor her daughter's intelligence and emotions. Meanwhile, the younger boy, Anna's second child, had begun to adapt to their new lives. Although he had grown up with Anna away from Mr. Harris, he was gentle and observant, quickly forming a bond with Lily. The two children spent hours together, laughing, playing, and sharing stories. It was not an instant perfect family, but the foundation was being built with patience and love. Mr. Harris also began to confront his father's past interference. He realized that lingering resentment could prevent their family from fully healing. Though he did not condone what his father had done, he chose to focus on protecting his family and making the present right. As weeks turned into months, the home transformed. Anna's laughter became a daily soundtrack. Lily's joy became more complete, knowing she no longer had to imagine her mother's love because it was tangible now. The family began creating new traditions: Sunday breakfast together, evening walks in the park, and small celebrations for every little achievement. One evening, as the sun set and painted the sky in shades of orange and pink, the three of them sat on the porch. Lily leaned between her parents, holding both their hands. "I'm so happy we're together," she said softly. Anna smiled, tears welling in her eyes. "Me too, sweetheart. Every day is a gift now." Mr. Harris looked at both of them, his heart full. "We've been through a lot, but we're stronger because of it. Nothing can take this from us now. It wasn't always easy. There were moments of doubt, reminders of the past, and the challenges of merging lives that had been separate for so long. But every struggle made them appreciate each other more. They learned to communicate, to compromise, and to celebrate the small victories that came with building a family that had been lost and found again. Anna even returned to her old passions, slowly rebuilding a life that was fully hers, while still being an active and loving mother. Mr. Harris supported her every step of the way, realizing that their relationship was now not just about love, but about partnership and trust. One rainy afternoon, Lily asked, "Daddy, will Mommy stay forever?" He smiled, hugging both children. "Yes, sweetheart. She's here to stay. We're a family now, and nothing will ever break us apart again." Anna held her children close, feeling the warmth and security she had longed for. In that moment, every fear, every lonely night, and every tear shed over the years seemed worth it. Their lives, once separated by tragedy and secrets, were now intertwined in love and hope. As night fell, the family sat together by the window, watching the rain. For the first time in years, Mr. Harris felt a deep, lasting peace. They had endured pain, misunderstandings, and heartbreak, but they had found their way back to each other. This was more than a reunion. It was a second chance, a chance to live, love, and cherish the moments they had once feared lost forever. And as Lily drifted to sleep between them, he realized that no matter what challenges came, the bond of family, once discovered and nurtured, was unbreakable. The billionaire, the mother who had returned from the shadows, and the little girl whose intuition had brought them together, They were no longer separated by fate. Together they had rewritten their story, filling the empty spaces of their hearts with love, forgiveness, and hope. And in that quiet, shared moment, they all knew that this was just the beginning of a life filled with the warmth and joy that comes from finally being whole. Months had passed since the long-awaited reunion. The house, once filled with quiet loneliness, now rang with laughter, chatter, and the everyday chaos of a family finally together. Lily had grown more confident, her little eyes sparkling with joy she had never fully known before. She would often tell her friends about her mother, proudly sharing stories of how fate had brought them back together. Anna had adjusted to life in the mansion. She kept her humble nature, often helping local charities and teaching Lily the value of kindness, but she no longer hid from the world. Her presence filled the house with warmth, her voice echoing with love in every room. She and Mr. Harris had learned to communicate openly, sharing not only responsibilities but also hopes, fears, and dreams. Their bond, once tested by tragedy and time, had grown stronger, built on understanding and trust. The younger boy, Anna's other child, had begun to feel a sense of security he had never known. Slowly, he and Lily bonded, sharing games, laughter, and secrets, becoming siblings in every meaningful way. One evening, as they all sat together around the dinner table, Lily looked up at her parents. "I feel so happy," she said softly. "I never thought I'd have both of you again." Anna smiled, brushing a strand of hair from Lily's face. "Neither did I, sweetheart. But sometimes life gives us a second chance even when we think it's too late." Mr. Harris reached across the table, holding Anna's hand. "We've learned that family isn't just about being together. It's about love, forgiveness, and never giving up on each other." The experience had changed them all. Mr. Harris became more attentive, realizing that wealth could never replace the emotional connections that truly mattered. Anna embraced the courage to rebuild her life, no longer hiding but living openly and fully. Lily, innocent yet wise beyond her years, had reminded everyone that intuition, love, and honesty could uncover truths that even the most guarded hearts might miss. The story of their reunion soon inspired friends and extended family. Many marveled at how fate and determination could heal years of separation, but for the family it was simple. They had each other, and that was enough. On quiet nights they would sit together by the window, watching the stars, holding hands, and sharing dreams for the future. Each day was a reminder that despite pain, loss, and mistakes, love had the power to heal. And so the billionaire, the mother who had returned from the shadows, and the little girl whose belief never wavered, lived with hearts full of gratitude. Their story became one of hope, proof that even after life's hardest trials, families could be reunited, stronger and happier than ever before. This was not just a reunion. It was a new beginning, a life filled with warmth, laughter, and unbreakable bonds.